Welcome to Inspire and Move, the show that inspires you to create, connect, and grow. I'm going to bring you meaningful conversations, aha moments, and all the motivation you need to up-level every part of your life. I'm Matt Arruda, founder of Inspire and Move, and your personal hype girl. I've gone from fashion school to celebrity stylist to corporate marketing to brick and mortar entrepreneurship with my husband, each time learning incredible lessons how to pivot, reimagine, and implement the steps to become successful. I am passionate about inspiring others to live their best life, a life of joy. We have the power to design a life that we love because life is too short not to. The best part is that you weren't meant to do this alone. If you feel like you were meant for more, let me ride shotgun with you, and together, let's get you to where you want to go. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Inspire and Move podcast. I'm your host, Matt Arruda, and I am joined with a very special guest tonight, the one and only Matt Arruda.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. You're a show regular now.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Do you love it?
I do. I'm waiting for all the influencer ads or deals to start rolling in. Yeah. I'm sure it'll happen any minute now.
Okay, let's play Dream Time. If you were to have someone approach you for a sponsorship, who would it be?
The Toronto Blue Jays.
Okay.
Go big?
I feel like you interpreted that question differently.
Sorry, what do I want to do with the rest of my life?
Yeah,
I see.
You just heard the question differently.
Sorry.
We should do that. We should just talk about our dream companies we want to partner with and collab with. That'd be really fun.
Yeah. What would I do with the Toronto Blue Jays?
Start sweating?
No. Like, what would my partnership be?
Well, the way you act when you watch the games, you would think that you were the owner of the team.
It's true. Well, I wish I was the owner of the team.
Or the general manager or the coach.
This is true. Exactly. I'll be their head cheerleader, but only when they're winning.
Right. So you're only available,
Hey, careful now. Careful now. Yeah.
Okay. But for real talk, if you had anyone come, we have a friend his podcast was sponsored by a meat company.
That's right. That's right. He was jacked.
Yeah.
And happy.
Jacked and happy. Schwartz, everyone.
That's right.
All right. Well, maybe we'll have to regroup on this offline, and then we can come back.
I was thinking I was going down the road of food for sure.
Italy.
Perfect.
Did I nail it?
Perfect. Yeah. Italy. Done.
Also, guys, can I just paint a quick picture for everyone listening that Matt was working in his office today, his offsite office, not at home office. And I was at the gym, and then I had an appointment, and I chose to wear a cute autumn outfit. And I walked into the house when I came home just a few minutes ago and realized that Matt, I guess, got the same outfit inspo, and we are currently dressed like twins.
And also, for the record, I did not know this is what you were wearing before I chose what I am wearing.
Black top, dark green bottoms. It's a vibe, everyone. It's a vibe.
It's cozy season.
Anyways, today's topic is actually your idea.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of power in kind of in recognizing it. It's something that I heard somebody say in some capacity a few weeks ago, and it resonated hard at that point. And I think it's something that we can probably all realistically resonate with to an extent, and maybe not everybody on the same level, but I hope I'm not going to mess this up. It's that in the face of, all of the uncertainty and the sadness and the challenges in the world right now, and maybe that's maybe on a larger scale, but even from a personal standpoint, the ups and downs of people's lives, the busyness of people's schedules and so on and so forth, I think there is a lot of power in recognizing that I'd probably say, I go out on a limb and say that we are all, everybody at least that I meet, have met, are likely listening to this podcast right now. I think we're all currently living some part of our lives that we would have otherwise thought when we were younger could only be a dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's worth saying it out loud and recognizing it and maybe thinking about what those pieces are. And it kind of falls into line with, the gratitude component of what we've been chatting about and what we've been practicing over the course of the last, I don't know, I'd probably say year for sure. At least to do something in the way of recognizing the things we're grateful for and speaking them out loud to each other. We've probably been doing more so in the last year. I know that we have been grateful for things before that, and people and experiences well before that, but kind of putting it out there in the universe and making time to share it with one another has probably only been in the last year or so. But my point with all of this is that I think probably as a byproduct of doing a lot of those things, I've come to understand and to realize that it doesn't have to be the dream things that we are currently in don't necessarily have to be materialistic things that we've acquired or that we've had goals of buying one day and now we do, or that kind of thing. They could be small things that have magically appeared because you've somehow internally thought that they were important and now they're here. And 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever age you may have been, 9, 10, 15, whatever, maybe those things were really far away, and without even knowing it, you've incorporated it into your life. And that dream portion of that, when I grow up one day kind of a life, is already here now.
I love that. I remember it was when did you tell me this? Were we out for dinner?
Yeah, I think so.
We were over dinner last week, and it was like an aha moment. And I think you even said that you shared this idea with me and then quickly followed up by, we should do a podcast on that.
Yeah, because I think it's, once you say it out loud and people really give the time and the credibility to what those things could be, then it becomes obvious. It sounds like, well, shit, yeah, of course. I don't know, having a nice bottle of wine sounds, when you're younger, like that would be nice to do one day. And now that we are able to do it, or that we do it, and I don't mean like, a $100 bottle of wine, for goodness sake. It's just you open up a bottle of wine and you enjoy a glass of wine. And that sounds, really elevated when you're 15 years old. And now it's not, or maybe it still is. But again, you take it for granted because not everybody has got the time or the ability. And that's just a really small portion of it, right? I can go down the line of, you wake up in a home that you are really proud of, beside a partner that you really love. I remember my mom asking me once when I was really young, about what my dream day looked like. And I said something along the lines of, a fancy sports car, a Porsche specifically.
Yeah, I was gonna say you had
it was
to have
definitely
brand
Porsche.
specific.
It was Porsche, and I would have a couple of golden retrievers, and the first part of that has come and has gone and has come and has gone, and that's fine. But now I have 3 dogs, including a golden retriever. That would have been mind-blowingly amazing when I was 15 years old, and here we are. And that's just a small example, right? There's a million other things that people have that could speak to this much more personally to them, individually speaking, that if they just take a second, stop running, and take inventory of the things that make them happy every day, is that something that was part of their dream life however many decades ago?
I think you make such a great point on the last portion about, it is so easy to move at a really rapid pace in today's world. And today's world has a lot of stuff happening in it. And if you are an individual that is more on that sort of high performer scale, maybe you're entrepreneurial, so you are grinding and you're hustling, or maybe you're climbing the corporate ladder and you're crushing it and you're pulling long days, long weeks. I think it is so easy to lose sight of everything that you work for and that you achieve. And I think it is important for us. This is even a good reminder for Matt and I sitting here having this conversation. I think it's really important to pause and reflect on everything that you have accomplished. I saw our friend Lindsay Schwartz do a post just earlier this week or on the weekend about, it was a camera roll type of an Instagram post with key moments throughout her career that she was in this reflective moment. And she looked back on these 8 to 10 photos that was maybe her first Powerhouse Women event and her book launch and her blog, and going back however many years. But I thought that was a really cool exercise to share with her community because she's been in this incredible growth trajectory. But to have these visual reminders of how hard you work and how far you've come. I've been working on a reel, I haven't even shown it to you yet, it's in my drafts, about Benchmark. That, Benchmark's only, our gym is only 4.5 years old, but there's a lot of really cool videos from the construction component that we did because we added on a little bit to our space and really wanted to create this beautiful main entrance lobby experience. And that was all construction that you and I did and designed.
I don't know if we did it per se.
We directed
There you go.
and paid for it.
We found the right people.
Yeah, found the right people to do the job and paid the invoice, along the way. But just looking back at those videos and be like, oh my gosh, good for us. Good for us, babe. And yeah, high five. Woo! Just pausing and reflecting on what we've accomplished. And 4.5 years is a very young amount of time. And so being able to have those moments where you turn inwards and you're intentional to pause and reflect on what you've done, what you've achieved, and then one step further, celebrate that. We're big on celebrations. And another thing I actually wanted to share was when you're talking about, when your mom asked you about your, future self when you're older and you want to have a Porsche and golden retrievers. I did this exercise when I ended my engagement. Matt and I were, if you've already listened, but Matt and I were both previously engaged to different people. Yours ended, mine ended.
No, there's no T there. They didn't end because of each other or separate timing.
No T.
Kept everything above board. Anyway.
That lull in between. And I remember going on like my move out day with my best friend. We went for a glass of wine in the afternoon after the move. And it was Rochelle's idea to my bestie. It was her idea to let's just write down dream qualities, because she was getting ready to go through a breakup herself and big transformation of her own life. So we did this exercise where we wrote down all the qualities that we would love to have in our future partner, our future husband, life partner, and thought, how fun will it be to kind of hold on to these lists and then come back a year later or, however many years later and compare them and reflect on them. And I remember I tucked it away, ironically, in a cookbook, because if you know Matt and I well, you know that Matt is the cook in the house, not me. And so I guess a cookbook was a very safe place for me to house this very special list. And fast forward, Matt and I start dating, and then we move in together. And one day I open my Donna Hay cookbook and I find this incredible list of all of the qualities that I was looking to effectively manifest in my future partner. And you guys, Matt nailed it to a T.
Nice.
The one area was
nice.
That had room for improvement was how I, would love to work out with my partner. And that was not something that we really did in our relationship for that first, 1 to 2 years.
Mm-hmm. That's more so from a logistics standpoint, though. We just weren't close.
But baby, look at us now.
Yeah, I'll give you workout every day with a partner.
We're going to buy a gym. Woo!
Yes.
So I think, guys, that's really cool. And I actually have shared this exercise, the list exercise, with some girls in our community at the gym that are early 20s, early mid 20s. And it's been fun to hear them do this exercise and, still have their list. They're not at that point yet where this awesome human has come into their life, but it was such a powerful exercise for me. And I mean, look at who I ended up with. So I'm a big proponent of this exercise. And hey guys, if this feels good for you, please work on that once you finish this episode. And you don't necessarily have to share it, but tuck it away somewhere close, maybe a nice cookbook, and keep that list and get ready to reflect on that when the timing is right.
Yeah. And I think part of what you said there too, just kind of touch on, well, first of all, thank you.
You're welcome.
And you're welcome. But one of the things that you made reference to was, these things that you're going to be or you have been documenting. It sounds like to put together some epic reel with benchmark and over the years, and what we've been able to create and what we are creating and who we're surrounded by there and such. But you lose sight of the magic surrounding these dream-like moments because, or when, maybe more accurately, when you have them over and over again. If you're going to this space the way that we are going to this space daily, and I'm talking about benchmark now, if we're there every day, literally almost, what would you say, 330 out of the 365 days a year, we're there every day, it seems. But in doing that, you kind of lose the magic of what that dream was on day one of that journey, to an extent, where you feel like it maybe hasn't gone away entirely, but it certainly isn't as acute as what it was on day one, because you're lost a little bit more in the grind. It's your new normal now, right? So it kind of feels a little bit of the same. If you're drinking champagne every day on day 100, it might not taste as special as it did on day one. So I guess my point here is
that a dare?
My point is, and I do absolutely directly compare our gym to champagne. It's 100% that kind of a space. I feel that.
Effervescent.
It's
It's
spectacular.
sparkling.
Yeah, it's sparkling. That's right, exactly. Um, but I'll say that in that breath, the key part there, and like I mentioned off the top, is to take some sort of inventory of what it is that makes you happy every day, and then go a step beyond that and recognize whether or not this is something that just came into your life happenstance, you never knew it even existed prior, or is there something a little bit more serendipitous about that where you did think about it at some point in your life being a part of what your dream life could potentially look like one day. And then, surprise, here we are. And there's at least a version of it in the current life that you live now. That's the most amazing part of it, is that it might not be to the T where we're living in castles and having chauffeurs and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. But you know what? As you get older, maybe you don't want that anyways. I don't want somebody driving me around. I want to drive myself around in a car that I want, and that's the part that is cool. You can kind of grow with that and let it change based on you changing ultimately. But I still think that there's a lot to be said about how there are an absolute ton of aspects of our daily life, either things that we feel or things that we can materialistically hold, that we have acquired, that when you think about how cool that may have been to have had when you were 10 or 12, and now you have it, or now you're a part of it, or now you're with that person, or that
Mm-hmm.
kind of person who makes you feel a certain way, or whatever it is. There's a million different things that you can kind of tie a bow around saying, this would have been part of my 12-year-old dream life. And here it is right now.
I feel like you and I have had a good chunk of those experiences this last
Some
year.
pinch me's, yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah.
maybe those are dream moments versus, long extended dreams. Like if it is buying a home that now you're going to be in for an extended period of time, or a business, ours might have been like one day events or weekend experiences. But I feel like you and I have also been very aware of those experiences and being present and very grateful and reflective. And even I was talking about this on an earlier episode about when we were going to our friend's lake house in Wisconsin earlier this summer. That was one of those moments. And we started listening to audiobooks. And now the experience of audiobooks is directly correlated with a happy memory, and this memory that is just locked and loaded and that we loved and appreciated. And also our drip coffee maker.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Also
Exactly.
stacked with nice memories. And that's a cool way of looking at it too, that you take those moments of joy and those dream moments, memories, and maybe have a way that you can tap those in onto daily habits or rituals.
Yeah. And there's something else that you had said there that reminded me of my what I was thinking or was going to speak to next is, a lot of these things that you are enjoying now, things that are special to you now, or pinch me moments that are a part of, dream like memories, however many years down the road, just because they're happening now doesn't necessarily also mean that they were a part of your life at one point earlier. When I was 12 or 15, I probably didn't think that a 10 or 11-hour road trip to Wisconsin would be part of my dream goal.
Yeah.
But as things evolve, as you get older, you take on new things, you take on new pieces of information every week, you um, take on new positive propaganda every week that changes who you are. It just is.
Oh,
It's just
I love
how it
that.
goes, right? I mean, you can't necessarily, you can't be upset or have people be upset with you if they feel that you have quote unquote changed. Well, for God's sakes, if the recipe and the ingredients in the recipe changes, well, then the end product has to change. You can't make soup with 3 ingredients, add the 4th ingredient, and still taste the same way as it did if you only had 3. Things have to evolve. So, with that, we have the last year or two where we have read different books, listened to podcasts, talked to people, got into the rooms, had our minds expanded, things that we didn't have part of our, let's call it, recipe list 2 years ago that are on the list now that have led us to want new things, more dreamlike experiences that weren't even on the radar a couple of years ago. So when they not only just become on the radar, but then you find yourself in these situations talking to these people, becoming front and center within these opportunities because of the people and the rooms and the lists and so on and so forth, those are pinch me moments too. And they will change, I'm sure, as we get older and we accomplish more things and we implement different parts of our lives moving forward that we don't even have now, that we probably can't even think of right now, because that's how cool that kind of stuff is. That's how quick things evolve if you're open to it. And thinking about what that has been in this last 12 months, how that has felt in the last 12 months, you're damn right there's been more than a handful or two of moments where you think to yourself, is this real right now? Is this
Yeah.
happening right now? And that's something to take stock of. And it doesn't have to be anything as major as that. It has been, we've blessed, lucky, goddamn hardworking to be in those situations this year. I don't want to say that it all happened because someone put a little wand above us. Work comes to mind when we think about how it got there. We worked for it, and that's
sometimes
usually how it
invested.
goes.
Like sometimes it comes with money, guys.
That's right. And do you know how you get money?
You work hard.
So that's where it all kind of comes full circle to that end. But not to say that that's what this podcast is about, where how you're able to get into these rooms or how you're able to find these cool goal-like scenarios or moments. It's just when you're there and along the way, even as of right now, wherever you are right now listening to this podcast, you're walking to work, you're walking your dog, you're making dinner, whatever the story is, wherever you're happening to listen to this right now, stop and literally take actual proper inventory of something that's happening right now as you're listening to this, that you would have otherwise thought in your much younger self that would have been a dream, and now you're in it.
Goosebumps, babe. Goosebumps.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think we're always like, whether it's, some of my solo episodes or when you and I have been on here together, I think it is a point that we make often, and perhaps we'll just continue to reaffirm that so often some of these introductions, these connections, meetings, friends, opportunities, they come with hard work and grit and grind, but it also really starts with your mindset and being open-minded to meeting these people, being in these rooms, and truly believing that you are destined for great things. And that takes a while, I would say, to get towards, where you feel that you are on this growth trajectory that is so exciting and you are absolutely driven and destined to seek greatness and enjoy greatness. And it is very cool to kind of reflect on those dream days that, maybe what it looks like for you in your 20s, in your 30s. You and I have been doing that a lot also in the last year, of talking about our dream days to kind of understand, like, where are we just blissfully happy and where do we want to get to? Because as you already said, it might not be like, oh, I want to have 7 supercars and that's going to make me happy. Like, maybe for some people, yes, but maybe for others, no. That doesn't, I would love to have one nice car. I don't need to have 7 supercars, maybe 7 dogs, but we'll see. We only have 4 more to go.
Jeez, it's a hell of a lot closer than my supercar goal. That's for sure.
But just to have those things in your mind and work towards them, talk about them. If you have a partner, your best friend, business partner, talk about this, and don't have a ceiling on your head. Just sky's the limit. We even use this in meetings sometimes with our teams. Like, hey, talk about like your ideal situation, and let's just lay it on the table. You go first. We'll go. And let's find what works and find this harmonious balance, or have something to work towards. And I think that kind of still comes back to the mindset piece.
Definitely. I think being in a positive mindset as much as possible. And that's an entirely different podcast in and of itself, for goodness sake. But the idea of being in a positive mindset as much as possible allows for you to look for things and opportunities and people and all the rest that you otherwise would literally not have the ability to find, because a negative mindset, by comparison, just scientifically speaking, is not woo-woo stuff. It just closes your ability to see anything other than what is directly in front of you in that second. So having something that's more positive, I think it does give you a significantly better advantage than the guy beside you or the girl beside you that is in that moment, because that's the only thing that they're looking at. Something to be said about one step at a time and all the rest. That's true. But if that were to ever only be the case, how do you know what your goals are if you don't have things that are significantly 100 steps further than where you currently are right now. You still have to get there, but if you can't see it because you're only looking at the foot in front of you at a time, then what are you actually walking towards?
Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think having that positive mindset that's very expansive and big thinking, big dreaming. I actually was just talking about some of my Instagram stories today about where in your daily habits or routines can you stack some positive propaganda. Like if you run on the treadmill at the gym 4 times a week, maybe add a 10-minute recovery walk post run or 20 minutes so that you can stack a positive podcast or a great audiobook for a couple of chapters and create these stacked habits that are positive and getting that piece of personal development, really working towards that self-mastery and consuming positive things in your ears as you're moving your body and boosting those endorphins even more.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Little takeaway.
It's where it starts and a lot of times where it ends.
Anything you want to just tie a bow on here?
I think this is largely rooted in gratitude. A lot of recognizing where you're at right now and the things that one has that, again, sounds like a broken record, but the things that are currently, I think, proof of you already living your version of a dream life or a portion of a version of your dream life. I think that is a hell of a lot easier to see, hell of a lot easier to find if you can live in gratitude a little bit more often. If you can force yourself to stop and be thankful for some of the things, the people, experiences that you've gone through. And sometimes it's bad. Sometimes they're shit experiences. I think you're able to see the shinier things a lot brighter coming out of those darker, crappier experiences. But all that's to say, gratitude will make the ability to recognize these dream life situations a hell of a lot more obvious.
Love that. What's something you're grateful for?
I'm grateful for you.
Oh, that's an easy one.
Yeah, I know. And people are like, that's when we just lost half of the podcast audience.
Like, that's lame.
Yeah,
and then the romantics are like, oh my God, that's so sweet. I love that.
I am grateful for a community of people that have consistently poured into me and you, especially for this year, as we're kind of ending towards the year, which is kind of crazy in and of itself, already in November. But I'm very, very grateful for the people that have shown themselves this year specifically that we didn't know prior, that have been absolute, not just beacons of light, but tremendous pillars of support in a year that has been very fast paced for us.
Oh, I love that. Can I say ditto?
Do it.
Because
it's the truth.
I was like, I'm grateful for our dogs, but yours is so good and so true.
Yeah.
The power of that, like inner circle and network that support you and celebrate you. Oh, so important.
Yeah.
Here for it.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you for being here.
I'm grateful for your podcast. It's fun.
I know, isn't it fun? Are you having fun?
This is amazing.
I love this.
This is awesome times.
I'm grateful for you being here.
Thank you.
Grateful for you all the time, and grateful for the Inspire and Move community. Thank you for being here. Thanks for listening. And I would be so grateful to have a 5-star review and a rating from you guys, right? 5-star rating and a review. That's the combo how it goes. And can't wait until next episode. As always, DMs are open. If you want to slide into the DMs, let me know what you're loving, what you'd like to hear. Just want to connect. I'd love to hear from you. Until then,
have a good day, everybody.
Thanks for listening. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. If you loved this episode, it would mean the world to me if you took 30 seconds and shared this on social media, send it to a friend, or leave a 5-star review. There is power in community, and I am so grateful to have you part of mine.